Hey everybody, Adam Zucker here, hanging out with Jerry Palm, CSTV.com's BCS guru, also collegebcs.com. And Jerry, the question every year this time of year is, did they get it right? And for this crazy, wacky season where there was no undefeated team other than Hawaii, it seems like they did get it right.
Yeah, I think so. They got it as right as you can possibly get the BCS in a year like this. I mean, I think definitely Ohio State belongs because this is a year where survival was really a difficult thing to do, and Ohio State survived better than anyone else. Behind them, you've got a 7-car train wreck. Take your pick. The voters liked LSU. The computers more or less liked LSU. So, I do think that this year they got it right.
LSU did make a huge jump, though, from 7th to 2nd place, and so all those humans out there voting, they wanted to pick a conference champion to put in that 2 spot.
That was part of it, but they weren't that far behind. Yes, it's from 7 to 2 if you think about it as 5 spots, that's a lot. But 5, 6, and 7 were very close together going into this week. And I think the thing that worked for LSU is that they won Georgia's conference last week, and it was very easy for the voters to move them up past Georgia into what would have been number 4, and then 1 and 2 lose, and they move up to 2.
A lot of ifs, ands, and buts along the way, like what would have happened if Tennessee had beaten LSU? Would Virginia Tech have been in the 2 spot? Because it could shape out that way. Maybe it would have given Georgia a boost. Who knows? But Virginia Tech, having been that sentimental favorite among the human voters, as we like to call them, was actually the number 1 team for the computers.
Yeah, that's right. Virginia Tech was the best computer team, just barely ahead of LSU, and they didn't really get a lot of sentimental support from the voters. They didn't hardly move up at all in the human polls, and if they had stayed close to LSU and going into the last weekend, they were virtually tied in the polls. Had that been the case again after last weekend, Virginia Tech would have been the team playing for the title.
And Virginia Tech, a conference championship game winner, as was Oklahoma. We heard Bob Stoops kind of hold a presidential press conference making his pitch for why they deserved to be at least number 2 in the country.
Yeah, right. Well, and Oklahoma was playing very well at the end of the year. And, Oklahoma, USC, Virginia Tech, all of these teams that got left out, really, they have no one but themselves to blame. Oklahoma beat Colorado, you're in this thing. USC beat Stanford, you're in this thing. Everybody who gets left out, with the exception of Auburn, the year they were undefeated, has only themselves to blame.
And the difference between Georgia and Ohio State, in terms of moving up without playing, is that the Buckeyes were the champions of their own conference. Georgia was sitting at home while 2 other teams were fighting it out.
Yeah, that's basically true. If Georgia had been ahead of Ohio State to begin with, maybe LSU would have jumped all of them, and we could have had an LSU-Georgia final. But because Ohio State was already ahead of Georgia, LSU only jumped ahead of Georgia. Georgia was the key to LSU's movement.
And something you predicted a way back when, further down in the BCS standings, Illinois was able to move up and get that at-large spot. Seemed to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, to me that was an absolute no-brainer, but I'm a Big Ten guy. The Big Ten, the Pac-10, the Rose Bowl, that relationship is as valued to those 3 parties as anything. They'd rather have that than a national championship. And so to me, it was a no-brainer that Illinois got picked.
All right, Jerry Palm dropping some BCS knowledge on us here at CSTV.com.